It's time for Ask Your Auntie, the show that gets real with teen girls about life. They ask, and we answer with tea. Tools for excellence and achievement. The goal? To help girls make better decisions in real time. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie. Now here's your host, Marissa Terrell, Esquire.
Got questions? Ask your auntie. I'm Marissa Terrell, but you can call me Auntie M, and I'm director of the High Tea Society Foundation and host of this podcast, Ask Your Auntie, where we provide teen girls with reliable answers to their questions. Let's meet our guest for today. Hey, Auntie Kasey.
Hey.
Welcome to Ask Your Auntie. So Auntie Kasey attends Howard, okay,
Ooh.
like the real HU, and she's also a High Tea Society intern working with us when we were working with Washington Leadership Public Charter School. For how long? How long were you working with us on that program? Was it like a year?
Yeah, it was like about a semester. It was like 15 weeks.
Okay. She's so precise. She said it was 15 weeks. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So when you were working with us on that program, well, first of all, why volunteer with us? What was it about high tea that sort of made you think, maybe I'll give it a try?
Well, first you had came in to our class with this big ball of energy, and you were like, I'm just looking for some girls that could come and help mentor high school girls in the high school. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to come on in and see what it's about.
Kasey raised her hand and she volunteered. We got out of that whole class, we got two fantastic interns who were ready to roll up their sleeves and jump in. We really appreciate that. So when you were working with us at the school, what did you do? What can you describe kind of like what we did in that program?
Yeah, so in that program, girls from that school, Washington Leadership Academy, came in during their lunch period, and we just gave them like real advice on anything they wanted to talk to us about, whether it be like relationships, schoolwork, going to college. We were there for them.
Yeah, so it was like it's sort of like how this podcast came to my mind, because I was thinking, our girls have questions, and we need to be about that business of trying to help them find answers in a safe way, in a reliable way, in a way that's based on some real data. Okay, so that's what this was really all about. So I'm glad you're here. Now, as we got to know some of our girls, and just the fact that you're a young woman, in what year in school are you?
I'm in my final year. I'm a senior.
Okay, so she's seen some things. All right, so we know that your experiences might help you answer this question. Do you feel like our girls, this would be like DC girls, Black girls, are we in trouble? Is there like a crisis going on, or is it just me looking from where I am?
I don't think it's a crisis, but I just think that as we're developing as young women, we do need that advice and role models. So I feel like High Tea Society brings that to the girls so they can have somebody to be there for them.
Yeah, I feel like all of us sort of need that auntie. We also need big sisters like you. I guess you're both, big sister and auntie. And we need like cousins. We need like a family around us to kind of steer us in the right way. Not necessarily tell us what to do, but to talk about best practices. Maybe what worked for me might not work for you, but at least you'll know, hopefully not to make the same mistakes. Or I should say missed opportunities that I have had. Okay, so I know that I did some research, and there was this groundbreaking study in 2017 that was put out by Georgetown Law Center. It was on poverty and inequality, and it was called Girlhood Interrupted. And in that program, they talked about how there's one way that you can help girls, and that's by teaching them coping mechanisms. Because all of us go through ups and downs. The real deal is, how do you self-regulate? How can you build resiliency? And so that's what we're trying to do here. That's what this podcast is about. We want to build up the resiliency of our girls to withstand unhealthy influences, because, wow, isn't that what's all around us?
Okay. Yes.
All right. So before we get started and before we throw some questions at you, we got to get to know you a bit better. And why is this important, girls? All my sugars out here. Why is it important that we get to know Auntie Kasey? Because we don't take directions from people who are lost, okay? So
true.
We have to find out a little bit about her. So, okay, Auntie Kasey, tell us all about yourself. First of all, what's your full name?
Hello, my name is Kasey Nicole Bostic. I'm a senior at Howard University Elementary Education. That's what I'm studying.
Whew, she's in the school of ed. That's not for the timid.
Nope.
The state of the school system, you hear everybody complaining about what's going on, and teachers are ready to strike every minute, but you still went into education. Why?
Yes. Okay, so
Okay, there's a story. Let's hear it.
Growing up in the West Burbs of Chicago, it's not many people that look like me, especially in the school system. I got my first black teacher my freshman year of high school.
What?
And yeah, that was
am shocked. Okay.
That was like just growing up in the school system in the West Burbs. Like, it was just hard for me to like find myself like within a community of people because I really didn't have that.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the reasons why I want to be an educator, so I can just be that person for these students. You know, they can come to my classroom, they know it's home, outside of home.
Yeah.
Also, I have a lot of educators in my family. My brother-in-law, his sister, my family back in Trinidad, they're educators as well. So yeah, they inspired me.
Okay. So were you the kid with the flashcards that you did?
Yes.
Man, I was that kid too. I had yellow flashcards and I felt like everywhere I went, my mom would be like, okay, read this. What's that word? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That is the struggle of those of us who are kids of educators. Okay. So what do you think your superpower is? Like when your friends call on you, what are they calling on you for?
This might sound a little corny, but I feel like my friends just know I'm there. Like, I'm just this soft, loving person, and I just have a kind heart. So they just know, like, I'm going to be there for them and just give them that advice. Even if, like, they don't want to hear it, I'm always going to say it in a loving way.
I like that. You're a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. I love that. Please, I hope that that's something you can retain because it can be so hard when you're like that. Sometimes people like suck all of your energy. Mm-hmm. You have to constantly fortify yourself so that you can, your personality doesn't change.
Yeah, it's like you have to, I'm learning now this year, you have to have a balance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you said you grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
I think I've been to Chicago one time. What's it like? It's like D.C.?
Okay, so there's like the burbs and then there's Chicago. So like I grew up in the burbs of Chicago. It's like Maryland here a little bit, like it's a little bit more spacious out there than the actual like city life, but it's cold sometimes.
Yes, no, and it's Midwest.
Yeah,
aren't you guys supposed to be nicer out there?
Well, a lot of Midwest people, like my mom, she's from the South, so that Southern hospitality is getting took up to the Midwest, so we're nice. Yeah.
Okay. Right. I got family in Ohio, and they're like steady, even people. Tell you the truth, you know. They call them salt of the earth, whatever. Okay. All right. What was high school like for you?
Okay, if you ask my mom, she's gonna be like, Kasey was in everything, like Black Student Union, dance. I just try to put myself in everything. I don't put myself in a box, you know. So always academics first, but I just like to join a lot of things just to have that experience. Okay,
but how did you juggle? I was always fascinated by athletes who were in school because they would be practicing, then they had to study, and then. How do you do it?
I don't know. A lot of prayer and having a lot of support, honestly.
Okay.
Like my mom, she was big on church. So she was like, you could do all these things, but you got to put God first. So make sure we got to go to church every Sunday.
Okay.
And then that's how you start your Sunday, your week off right.
So you already were organized. You had a routine.
Yeah.
Okay. That really does help. All right. So was this a big school? Was it co-ed?
Yeah, it was a bigger school.
Mm-hmm.
It was co-ed.
Okay.
Like they had 4 schools. So like Glenbard East was like the top biggest school amongst the other 3.
Okay.
So yeah.
I can't even relate. I was in all-girls schools, but I always wanted to go to the co-ed school and be on have the cheerleaders and all this other stuff.
It was all right.
You said it wasn't that great. No,
because it wasn't a lot of Black people,
and that makes a difference.
You know?
Yes. So okay. Well, if you're thinking about high school, is there anything that you regret that maybe you wish if you could do a do-over for high school?
Okay,
what do you think?
I feel like if I could redo high school over, or something I regret was my senior year, because I was the COVID year, and I was so anxious to leave. Like I had an early dismissal, then I had lunch before early dismissal, so I would always leave to go home because I was just so tired of it.
Yeah, 4 years, you're done.
Yeah, but I just wish I had just soaked it all in, you know.
So that was like a good time. That period in your life was something you might have wanted to savor.
Yeah, because my sister's baby was about to be born. I was about to get my prom dress, graduation. It was a good time.
Yeah.
And then it was just shut down. So I wish I had soaked it all in a little bit more. But
okay. I wish you had to. But now you're at the Mecca.
Yeah.
How's that?
It's good. I feel like there's always a blessing like through everything. So I enjoy my time at Howard.
Okay. All right. So we're going to I feel like I know you. I feel like I could trust you to give me some real information. I know where you're coming from. You've got that Midwest sensibility, but you know DC a little bit. So let's see if we can get into some questions. How about this? Here's a question. Okay, and a lot of our questions are coming from Washington leadership, but we also have some other questions that are coming in through our DM. So this young lady is saying her grandmother's sick, and her grandma seems kind of sad all the time. What can she do to help? She's only 14.
This is a good question because I had something similar happen to me over the summer. My mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I had to go back home. And it was a tough decision because, like, you would just realize that life can just do a whole 360. Yeah. And I know my mom was going through a sad moment, but I would just try to be there for her and do stuff that she liked. Like, you know, like, hey, Mom, do you want me to cook a little meal? I can't cook like her, but it's the effort.
Yes.
You know, and that's what my mom appreciates, like the effort, or me just straightening up the house, or getting her water bottle, making her coffee in the morning. Like, do things that makes that person happy. Know their love language, too.
Yeah, love language. I love that you said that. What is that? What is a love language?
A love language is like something that I guess brings joy to people. There are like 5 different ones. Yeah. And I feel like my mom's was acts of service or just words of affirmation, just to know that I'm there for her, you know? Yeah. To take that sadness out.
Yeah. And I think that's important for all of us, even me and all our sugars out there, that as we get to know people, it's nice to kind of know what makes them happy. That requires you listening, asking questions, and paying attention to the responses. It's nothing worse than getting presents from people and you know that this is not for you at all. You're like, does this person know me at all?
No,
so
for real.
That's nice. Okay, so for our sugar out there that asks, maybe talk to your grandma or talk to folks who love your grandma. Find out what are the things that she likes. Maybe she likes chocolate. Maybe she likes lasagna, whatever. And you can maybe help or get someone to help you. Do little things to make her feel loved and appreciated. Notes are great. My mom, I remember when I was sad, I broke up with a guy in I guess it was law school. She sent me a card in the mail every day for 3 weeks. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I'm tearing up just thinking about that. Okay. Well, here's another question. I want to go to college, but no one in my family has ever gone, and my guidance counselor won't help me. What should I do?
Luckily for our generation, we have the internet.
The internet!
So hopefully if you have resources at your school or maybe at home, you can try to do a little research on schools that interest you. Like, just have a 5-point list of what makes this a good school, better than the other school. Or if you have that teacher at your school, maybe talk to them and they can give you some healthy advice on what to do.
Right. So all around us are typically, we hope that you're surrounded by, there's one adult who has, as my mom would say, some sense, right? One adult who loves you and who's looking out for you. And you would start with that person. Hey, I really want to go to college. Do you have any ideas? And you just start spreading the word and see what information people are giving. You also go to the internet because it's always, you got to have some information to ask the right questions. So you go there and find out, so what should I do? Put in, want to go to college. What do I do? And see what pops up. But what about the guidance counselor? Folks are busy, right? Mm-hmm. And some of our schools are unfortunately understaffed.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe the guidance counselor doesn't necessarily not want to help you, but maybe they're stressed out. Maybe they've got a lot of students. Does that ever happen?
Yes. I know my guidance counselor, like I said, when I was my senior year, when I already decided I wanted to go to Howard, my guidance counselor, he didn't really know much about HBCUs. Mm-hmm. Luckily for me, I did have a guidance counselor that came very at the last minute, and she was Black, and she was telling me what I should do to try to get accepted into Howard. So I don't think they don't want to help. Maybe they're just not, they don't have the knowledge about it. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they are understaffed in that, you know. particular school.
Yeah, it could be. But there's lots of other folks that you can reach out to. If you're have a church home, you could start there and asking folks there. Where did they go to school? Do they know anybody there? Can they tell you about their school experience? People love to talk about their college years.
No, for real.
Oh goodness, and they probably would love to kind of talk to you about that. Also, think about what do you like to do, because sometimes you can find a school that will resonate. Like I wasn't into sports at all. I knew I wanted to go to law school, so I thought it'd be important for me to find a school that's going to help me get into a law school.
Yeah.
Right? So that was important. I also knew I wanted to be out of D.C., so I knew I wasn't applying to any schools here. So, you got to kind of start with your own short list.
Yeah, I know for myself, I knew I wanted to go to HBCU, and I knew I wanted to get out of Illinois. So,
and voila,
I researched, and now at Howard. So,
Okay. Well, did you get a lot of help from your parents or your mom to get into Howard? Like, how did you even know about Howard? Does everybody know about Howard?
Yeah. Well, my mom's from the South, so she went to Jackson State University.
Okay,
She's
so
an alumna. So her whole side is college. Like, there's no other way. Like, I had to go to college.
Yeah.
Which college? She wanted me to stay in state.
Of course,
like I said, I
did
my research, and I ended up at Howard. But she was very supportive. But you just got to take that step individually to get where you wanted to go. Because you're not always going to have that help,
Yeah, that's the thing. And as you're starting to get older, you start to see that you can't always rely on other people to kind of spoon feed you the information. Even though you're a kid, I get it. If you think about our ancestors and all of our young folks, like, I don't know, I think of Frederick Douglass or, I don't know, Nina Simone, just all these different heroes that I know of. And I knew how much, when they were young, they knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to learn to read. They wanted to go to Juilliard art school. And so they said, I got to figure this out. Okay? And so it's important for you to take some ownership in what you want to do and start thinking about it. I love this question, though. So hopefully this helped. If you go to the podcast website, you're going to find some resources on college and maybe a mention of a couple books and websites that you can check out. So thank you so much for that question. All right, Kasey, here's another one for you. What do you do when you're feeling sad? What do you do to cheer up?
This is such a good question. Sometimes I just have to pray. Yeah. And I know it sounds cliche, but honestly, like, the best times I feel like when I hear God is when I'm alone and just by myself. Another thing I do is listen to gospel music. What I've done recently is honestly clean my room.
Yes, your environment really does impact.
Like, if I do my laundry, I know it's getting done. Going grocery shopping, going for a walk, honestly. Yeah, getting my hair done makes me feel better, too.
Absolutely.
Like, my nails done.
What?
You just gotta find what you like. Maybe journaling is for you. Like, those are some of the things that I do to make me feel better.
I think you gotta move. You gotta get up. I love the idea of going outside. I remember I read something somewhere, when you go outside and like look at the plants and the flowers, the birds, but really look at them. Look at like the detail. It takes you outside of yourself for just a moment and you start thinking, okay, these folks are moving forward. Like, this flower is doing okay. This bird is living his life. Like, I gotta keep myself together.
And another thing I can say is, like, I know it's about to get cold and a lot of people struggle with seasonal depression. Yeah. But use the internet. Like, if you don't want to stay in and it's cold outside, maybe go find something like a movie to go see that you're interested in, or just take yourself out of being in a house that you like to do outside.
Yeah. And in this area, we got museums everywhere. They're wonderful to do on a yucky day, is to go into, I love to go into museums with paintings on the walls. My brother's an artist, so I kind of think about him when I'm there. Or some of the outdoor sculpture gardens downtown are great, near the ice ring. I used to do that. Stuff like that. We're lucky to be in an area where we've got a lot of free things, but it's important to shake it off. If you can. Of course, if this is lasting, you certainly want to reach out for help. But if this is something that's sort of temporary, you're just sort of feeling a little sad, I love your advice. Very, very good. Thanks, AunTea Kasey.
Of course.
Okay, here's another one. Now, this one's right up your alley because you are in the School of Ed, and I know that you teach reading on the side, right? Yeah, okay. Here's the question. School is hard. I don't understand my assignments. I think it's because I don't read very well. So my best friend dropped out and makes a ton of money at Stadium. That's a club. For all of my older aunties out there, that is a club. And I'm thinking of doing the same thing. What should I do? This is a good question.
This is a good question.
First of all, what you know about stadium? That's what I want to know.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, good.
And I'm 21.
You don't need to know what that is. Excellent. Go on.
I would say, first of all, this is your path and your journey only. Just because somebody else is doing that doesn't mean it's for you. Mm-hmm. And practice makes perfect. If you can't read, let's start from the beginning. I always tell the people that, like the kids that I teach or tutor, let's just take it from the top. Let's start from the beginning, word by word. Let's see why we're struggling in reading. Maybe the book is too hard. Maybe you don't understand what you're reading. So just ask for help. Maybe just go to your local library. We have technology, like we keep saying. You can see
internet.
Yeah, you can see what level of reading that you're at, and we can start figuring out how we can get better in your reading.
Yeah, because honestly, these days you don't even have to be embarrassed anymore. In fact, you could do all this extra learning on the side if you want to. Like maybe you don't want to tell your teachers, or maybe you don't even want your friends to know. There's so many things that you can do now. And I love this library idea because they've got audiobooks and written books and workbooks. They've got people. If you say that's what you want to do, darling, raise your hand because there is somebody out there who wants to help you. Maybe even in your school, okay? Because we know the stats are such that folks who are struggling with reading, they have a higher chance of incarceration, drug abuse, just because life is difficult. It's important. And even if you want to let's say you want to be a dancer. Let's say that's your dream, okay? You need to be able to read your contract, girl. You need to be able to read and negotiate. So you're going to have to learn how to read in this society because everything, the higher you get up, you've got to be able to understand it and articulate.
Yes.
Okay, and reading helps you think. So it's super, super important.
Gets the brain going.
Yeah, and it's kind of like we think about all the history of Black Americans.
I was just about to say that.
Please, Kasey, go. You say.
I just feel like there's like a negative stigma behind reading with the Black community. And it's just from generation to generation to generation, it kind of gets passed down, but we have to end that cycle that we can read, that we are intelligent. So if you are struggling reading, that's okay because we all struggle with different things, but let's just try to not stay there.
All right. In high school, this is the time. This is the time to learn new things. And to practice, because you don't have to worry about working per se. You might do some things at home or have a part-time job, but this is your full-time thing, education right now.
Yes.
So master it. Do what you can. Find a tutor. Reach out to us if we can help you. But
Please reach out.
Love that you're even interested in thinking about what your next step might be. Stay in school. Don't go down that dancing path. It is fraught with, I know a lot of people think it's super cool. It's super cool. But honestly, it can be quite dangerous. You get around a lot of people who might not have your best interests at heart. You don't always have a support system, and on and on and on. Don't let me go down that rabbit hole. But any movie will show you there's a dark side, okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay, we are running out of time, and I've got maybe one more question to ask. So here's a sugar, and she's saying she's the oldest. Her mom works all the time. She has to take care of 3 young sisters, and she hates it. She wishes they would just go away. Okay. What should she do? Should she just run away from home?
Don't run away from home.
No.
I personally do not have experience with younger siblings. I'm the youngest.
Oh, and you're the baby. So you're the one everybody took care of.
Yes, and I feel like I still am the baby.
Aww.
But I feel like if I was my sister Kayla, I would just say, maybe just tell your mom, hey, Mom, I just need a little bit of space. Just a little time.
Day off. Can I get an afternoon off the clock?
Just let me just take care of my siblings for a little bit, and then can I just go hang out with some friends? Can I do my homework alone? Can I go out? Just having those little boundaries. And I know it's hard because we're children, but it is good to communicate with your parents when you need a little bit of time mentally.
Yes. And think about this. There's a lot of young women right now who don't know how to cook or clean. Okay, now you are learning all of the steps right now. So
Amen. Because
learn how to do those things, because when you get out the house, girl, nobody is going to do that for you. So
I had the luxury of like my parents cooking for me and my sister. So when I got to college, I had to do all by myself. So it's good that you're learning now. But yeah, communicate with your parents.
Yeah, communicate with parents nicely and respectfully, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Auntie Kasey, for sharing your tea with us. Growing up in D.C. is hard, but sugar, you don't have to do it alone. Join us every week for reliable answers to your questions. I'm Auntie M, Director of the High Tea Society. DM us at High Tea Society INC. We have the tea to help girls succeed, tools for excellence and achievement. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Ask Your Auntie with your host, Marisa Terrell, Esquire. The transition from girlhood to womanhood can be difficult without guidance. We have the tea to help girls succeed. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie.